Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be a quick little channel update, and then I'm going to talk about Wildstar, which is the game that's going on in the background here. This is unusual for me because it's post-commentary, so I actually get to watch myself play, which is not something I get to do ever, really. So, there haven't been any videos for the last, I don't know, week or so, week and a half. I have been just unbelievably sick. You can probably hear it in my voice. So for that, I apologize. I have this really nasty sinus infection that just will not go away. Last week it was so bad I could barely talk, which is why I stopped recording videos and kind of have fallen behind. That's okay though. I will be recording videos here soon in the next couple of days, finishing up. What am I playing? Orcs Must Die? Maybe one or two final videos in Dragon's Dogma. I still am on the fence about that. Oh, that game has gone on for so long. And then something new, because I'm almost done with Orcs Must Die, and then also Wildstar. So let's talk about that, shall we? Every now and then, I get kind of an itch to dig into an MMO. The last one that I really got into was Star Wars: The Old Republic. Way back when that game first came out, which was a couple of years ago. I was actually in one of the top, probably one of the top 2 or 3 raiding guilds. Not the number one. There was Crux, which was just amazing. They had the maximum number of members, and they did multiple raids on each dungeon each night. It was pretty bonkers. But we were one of the top on our server, the Apex Society, which was pretty fun. I was the number 1 healer for our guild. I was super badass. At least, you know, that's what I think. That's what our tank thought, and that's really all that matters. Tank is the one that needs to stay alive the most. Anyway, I've really been digging Wildstar. It was kind of fortuitous timing. I got really sick and just stayed home from work because I had been non-functional. And Wildstar just came out this past weekend. Well, it actually came out, let's see, what day is today? Today's Wednesday. It came out yesterday. The 3rd of June? I think June 3rd. And so while I was out sick, I just kind of poked around, watched some YouTube videos, read some comics and stuff online, and found a bunch of people talking about Wildstar, this really intriguing-looking MMO. It's in the same vein as World of Warcraft and, you know, a bunch of other kind of very traditional MMOs. Doesn't do anything super crazy, but everybody talks about it. It's been in beta for the last couple of months. People have been playing it. From the sounds of it, it sounded like a traditional MMO that just had everything done really well. Very polished, very refined, very specific tweaks and changes to the formula. Small things to make it a lot better. So I was intrigued and curious and kind of had that itch to dig into one of these games. So I decided to pick it up and had been playing it while I've been sick. So that worked out really nicely for me. It's pretty gosh darn fantastic so far. I'm still low level. This is my highest level character. I'm 16, although I'm as of right now in real life I am level 17 with this character. I played a little more after this this instance thing that is going on here. So I have decided that I'm going to continue doing videos. I'm probably only going to have one game running at a time, one series of videos running at a time. Orcs Must Die, and then as soon as that finishes, something else. I'm not going to be doing, at least for a little while, I'm not going to be doing multiple games at any given time like I have been in the past. And there's some other stuff that I got to do in real life too. But I will do periodic Wildstar videos, I think. I think showing off a lot of the, especially in the late game, some of the PvP, some of the instanced content, like this little adventure thing that's going on here, this little event. I don't know what to call this. Shiphand mission, I think they're called. It's a really fun game. It's way more action-y than any other MMO. As you've probably been seeing, there's little, like, blue and red areas fleshed out on the ground. You'll see it here as soon as I fight something. All of my attacks do a little cone. Just a moment here. Yeah, that blue cone as I attack those little infector embryo bugs. Or the blue rectangles, or whatever other shapes. And here I'm switching up my skills so we can see some more. Get a little variety going on here. It's really interesting. There's a lot going on about it. I'm probably not going to explain too much about it right now. I mean, there's plenty of content out there and available. I'm having a blast playing it, though. Very action-y. You have to dodge a lot. It's very active. You have to actually pay attention. Every AoE attack, whether it's yours or an ally's or an enemy's, can be seen. I guess you can't see your allies, but like my own AoE and enemy AoE, you can see. It makes PvP just hectic and insane. I haven't done any of it that myself, but like there, you can see there's a square field that just does constant damage to enemies that are inside of it. I'm going to be using that attack a lot as we run through this area. And it's really cool. You actually have to dodge out of the way. Like, your physical placement is way more important in this game than in any other MMO that I've ever played. And it's very active. Like, it's not just, you know, sleep. Maybe have a macro that just keeps auto-casting your spells over and over again, and you go take a nap or something like this happened in World of Warcraft. It's really interesting. So yeah, I'm going to be doing some Wildstar videos showing off the content. Right now I'm playing solo. Eventually I'm going to get into a raiding guild. So I'm going to ignore or botch or ruin or butcher, whatever, the terminology for all these different things, because it's different across every single MMO. But basically Wildstar has, you know, your normal leveling, grinding out in the world. There's some instanced content like this that I'm doing right here. It's called a Shiphand mission. And it's designed to be just a nice little change of pace. You can repeat it as much as you want. And it's designed to be handled by one person. So you can see I'm not having any trouble going through this. I'm also like 3 levels higher than when you actually get the quest. I forgot about it and just came back and decided to do a video. But it's designed for one player to be able to handle it without too much trouble on their own, if they're competent. But it also apparently will scale and get harder and maybe have some randomized content if you bring in a full party of 5 people. So that's kind of an interesting idea. The next step up will be adventures, and I have one adventure unlocked. You gain access to it at level 15. So I went through that shortly after I did this little Shiphand mission, in fact. And I recorded that, so there will be a video going up of just how horribly we fail. We get the worst possible reward of, well, you kind of made it through in one piece. Guess. It's like the consolation prize of instanced MMO content. Anyway, that'll be going up eventually as well. And then on top of that, there are those adventures, they're called. They're kind of the very accessible, low-level group raiding, dungeoning type content. Like they're challenging. You have to actually, you know, be using your skills. You have to be kind of on the ball. You have to be paying attention to what's going on. You have to be fairly competent. You know, teamwork is important. You have to avoid enemy attacks, that sort of thing. Whereas here, I can just like tank all these enemy attacks. It doesn't really matter. Although I am also a healer. So those are interesting. The next level up, which I do not have access to for a handful of levels still, will be dungeons. And those are like the serious, like hardcore, you probably want a headset and to be using like Vent or TeamSpeak or something to communicate with your people, because they require a lot of teamwork and a lot of effort to get through, and they're supposed to be very, very challenging. So those are the dungeons. And then there's another tier. Like those 5-man dungeons, those are kind of the typical top-of-the-line, hardcore, end-game content that you get in a lot of MMOs. Like, that's kind of what they're on par with. But then they take it a step further, and they have the also traditional and unbelievably hardcore, designed for an entire guild to be working together sort of content, the raids. And those come in 2 varieties, believe it or not. The easier, I guess you might call it, and then the twice as difficult. There are 20-man raids and 40-man raids, and those are supposed to just be the most chaotic, crazy, insane, very, very difficult things imaginable. And I am so unbelievably excited to get into those. Those are going to be endgame content for sure. They're supposed to be just amazingly crazy.
Double kill.
But, you know, I'm a Dark Souls player. The higher the difficulty, the higher the reward. That's what I play for. So that's going to be a blast when I get into that sort of thing. And then the PvP stuff also follows a very similar pattern. There's smaller PvP, you know, like 10 on 10, just pair up with random people and play against other people. The game is faction-based. There's basically a good faction and an evil faction. Think Star Wars. Think the overpowering Dominion, the Empire, and then the plucky, goofy rebels who are trying to fight back and find a new home for themselves after their previous home was destroyed. They're the Exiles. Those are the 2 factions. So PvP is faction versus faction. But there's like different maps, different types of games, different sizes. So there's like 10 versus 10. I haven't done any of the PvP yet, but I've watched a few videos and seen some stuff. 10v10, and then there's different sizes. I think there's like 15v15 and 20v20, and then at the end of the game, there's crazy epic guild versus guild sized PvP also that's like, I think it's like 60 on 60. You can build fortresses and like just insane stuff and use it to attack the enemy and hold them off. The war zones just look crazy. So, like everybody else in the world who's playing this game, I will probably be posting videos of that stuff when I get to it. I'm not flying through trying to get to the max level as quickly as possible. Believe it or not, I'm actually enjoying all the fun side questy stuff in the game as well. There's a lot of exploration. There are these things called your paths. So you can pick whether you're a soldier, and then you get like special assassination missions where you're gonna go fight unique bosses that only you have access to, and you get like horde mode, like fight off 6 waves of enemies for a little while, and you get those sorts of things that you get access to. All sorts of combat-y stuff. And then you can alternatively pick like a scientist, which is what I play as here with my medic seeing on the screen. You can run around and scan things. Sometimes, like, if you scan an enemy, it'll give you a buff, or it'll stun the enemy, or do something like that. You can scan, like, technology and get robots to fight on your side, or take advantage of the flora, different flowers in the area, things like that. Like, just fun little interacting with the world things. There's the Explorer. They get access to special platforming challenges. There are certain areas where they can summon platforms and use them to climb to unique areas, and they're the only ones that can do that. And let's see the last one, the Settler. They can create like buff stations that'll buff anybody who comes by and uses it. Really fun. All sorts of just crazy, different content. You can see here, perfect timing. Rather than charging up and fighting the boss, I was looking around the world to see if there was anything interesting to explore, because there almost always is in this game. Lo and behold, there's a platform, or there's a rickety bridge thing. Jeez, I can barely talk. Again, it's the sinus infection. All this cold medicine's messing with my head. Anyway, explore up here, and what do I find? A creature. The lonely lost larva, which is infecting me with love. And I made a new friend. Stuff like this. The game also has just crazy, goofy, stupid sense of humor. Like, it's really... It's got a lot of charm. It's very cartoony, and it takes its cartooniness into everything it does. Like, it carries this attitude all the way through. It's awesome. I strongly recommend that you check out the game if you are interested in this sort of thing at all. Yeah, that larva is just going to follow me forever. The game definitely has its issues. It has some problems. It has some bugs, buggy quests. The game actually crashed on me the first time I tried to start recording this, which it's crashed on me a couple times. I mean, it just launched. I don't know for sure how the end game's going to be. I mean, for all I know, there's like a single raid, and it's miserable just how hard it is. Healing is unbelievably difficult in this game, as you can see. You know, because of the telegraphs, where you don't ever. Some classes, some skills, you do click on the enemy and it locks on, and then you just click or hit the hotkey for your skill and it uses it on your target. There's a healer that's got almost exclusively like traditional target-based skills. But that's the boring stuff. My medic here that I've been playing, everything is skill shot, like in Dota or something. Like, there's no lock-on. It's just that area of effect. So I have to aim and predict where enemies or allies are going to be for doing damage or for healing, that sort of thing. So, I mean, for all I know, my character, might just not be good enough to heal raids at the end of the game. Like, I don't know. It's going to require a lot of skill and a lot of practice to get to that point. So who knows? Who knows how this is going to turn out? But for now, I'm enjoying the ride. Game is certainly a blast. It is... it's good. It feels way more focused, way more refined, like very, very good at what it does. It takes the traditional MMO model and just does all of that, but very well. It's made by Carbine Studios. Carbine is actually made up of a bunch of developers from original World of Warcraft, Vanilla WoW, as people sometimes refer to it from back in the day. Also, people that have worked on like EverQuest and a bunch of other traditional MMOs. So it has quite the pedigree behind it, and they definitely aren't doing anything too crazy with the formula, but in my opinion, it clicks so much better than many of the other MMOs that I've tried to play. It's subscription-based. There's no microtransactions or anything that I've found. It's very old school with the business model in addition to everything else, and I like that. So yeah, it's going to be a fun journey. Hopefully you enjoy these videos. If you do, you know, feel free to check out the game, like the video, all that nonsense.
There you are.
And I will see you all next time in my sweet new bugaboots.
You're always welcome on my ship.
Man, my robot character looks awesome.